I'm Patrick King, and this is SYNTHWAVE Ultra. Bursting onto the scene in the summer of 2021 with a blazing cover of Eurythmics' synth-pop classic, Sweet Dreams, today's artist has quickly made a name for herself with a combination of endlessly catchy songwriting, excellent Spotify playlist curation, and savvy social media engagement. Welcome my guest today, Elyxir. Hello, thank you very much for joining me today.
No worries at all. No worries at all. It's very exciting.
Yeah, this is cool because this is the first one of these that I'm doing, so I'm really excited to be putting all this together.
Yeah, no, it seems like a really, really cool show.
Yeah, thank you. So how's everything going for you? I saw that you broke over 1,000 streams for Mother Mania.
Yeah, we're at nearly 2,800 now.
Nice, that's awesome.
So we should get to 3,000 by the end of the week.
That's exciting.
Easily. I mean, it's Monday, so who knows? It might get to like 3,500 by the end of the week. We get between 80 and 100 plays a day, so
wow.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's really impressive, especially considering that that and Sweet Dreams are your starting singles. So that's really impressive.
Sweet Dreams is on 930. So it's only 70 to go, and I think that it'll be done by the end of the week because it gets around 10 to 20 plays a day. So it'll get there.
Nice. Very cool.
I expected it to get 50 plays, so I mean to be at nearly 1,000 is awesome.
For sure. So that was actually going to be the first thing I was going to ask. So how did you get started in all this, like the whole synthwave retrowave thing?
Yep. So I mean, like I've listened to it for quite a while, and I've been doing top lining as a songwriter for about 5 years.
Okay.
And that basically is where I write and record all the melodies and the lyrics for things, and then they get sent to publishers, and then they sit on shelves gathering dust, basically. They get pitched to various places. So I've pitched to BTS, I've pitched to Twice, because I do a lot of K-pop. I've pitched to nearly every single major K-pop artist I've pitched for, and then I've pitched for quite a few American artists as well, but it's very cutthroat, very competitive. And I kind of got a bit, not bored, well yes, a bit bored and a bit frustrated with the constant competition and just feeling like I wasn't getting anywhere. It was just really, really frustrating me after a while. So I thought to myself, I'd like to potentially look at the artist route because I wanted to write music without these briefing parameters, because pop and K-pop, and Eurovision, they all have these really strict briefing parameters of how you need to write them. And especially with modern pop, I very much struggle lyrically with modern pop because they want everything to be so rhythmic and conversational and visceral and super about feelings and emotions, and written in a way that's quite basic. But oh my god, my cat's gonna come in, sorry. Hello. And so I really struggle at writing pop music, and I've had big pop mentors, and it's always been a consistent issue because naturally my organic way of writing is very much more in line with 80s music. The melodies are a lot more dramatic, the lyrics are a lot more storytelling, kind of journey kind of stuff. And so I just felt like it was the right fit for me in terms of my look, in terms of how I sound as well, because the biggest criticism I also get all the time is that because I'm not an American and I have an Australian accent, that I don't sound pop enough and that I don't sing. So we were always having to get people to replace me on all of my stuff that sounded more like the current pop because I have a very classic sounding voice. So it just made sense for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna go and do music that I want to write, that I'm more passionate about, that I could never give to any other artist, and I'm just going to release it myself. And because I have worked with some smaller artists as a songwriter, I did have a bit of time to kind of play around with the marketing side, testing things through them, trying to get it all kind of really, cat. Sorry.
That's okay. I have a dog and a cat too, and they're
tested marketing. I've written with other artists before, like smaller ones in Australia, and I like also did some testing of various bits and pieces with other stuff. And so I kind of learnt over the last 5 years how to market, how to build audiences, how to build fans, stuff like that. So when I kind of came in as my own individual artist, it was really easy for me to use all of the tools and experience that I'd learnt of things that work and things that really don't, and use them tools for my own artist work. And so I think that's why it's kind of come into the conversation so quickly, and why it's getting so much engagement and so much plays and stuff, is because I've really set myself up with all of the things that I've learnt over the past 5 years in the behind the scenes of the industry, so that when I do debut, that it gets heard and it gets seen. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I kind of fell in love with doing it, and I'm really, really excited about all of the music that I've got coming up, and the stuff that I'm doing now is really cool.
Very cool. Yeah. So that's really interesting how like you'll do like the basic day job type stuff to sharpen your fundamentals and establish your own voice. That's really cool. I know a lot of synthwave artists will do that. Like I'm pretty sure Tim from the Midnight does that, or did that as well. Like he'll write songs for pop stars and pitch them, and then it would go somewhere it wouldn't. But yeah, that's really cool. It's actually funny too, because I remember you posted on Instagram, I think it was on Instagram or TikTok the other day, about how you would put together K-pop melodies and basically layer all the choruses. Like that's really interesting.
Yeah, K-pop's really taught me a lot about vocal production, because I have to impersonate 5 or 6 different girls in one song. So I have them all lined up. So I've got like, I'm the cute girl, I'm the sassy girl, yeah, I'm this bad girl. Like I have all these different voices. That's cool. But it gives me a lot of control over my own vocals when I do my own vocal stuff, because then I can influence certain lines and whatnot. And yeah, it's taught me how to like lay out all my stems. I know how to melodine and pitch correct like nobody's business. I'm really, really talented at it. And it's definitely helped with when I'm collaborating with other producers for my own stuff. I'm basically giving them the perfectly finished product. They get it, and they're literally just dumping all of the stems in, and it's just all there. Everything's perfectly timed, everything's perfectly pitched. So I'm kind of making their life really, really easy, but then I also have full control over the final product.
Right, that's definitely one of the big things about making your own music, is that it's yours. You have total control of it. Like that's really cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
So you mentioned working with some pop mentors. So like, who are your big influences and inspirations?
So in the pop kind of scene, I definitely say Lady Gaga for sure. She's very flamboyant. I love a lot of the stuff from the 2000s, like the Katy Perry's first album and second album, Kesha's albums, even though they're trashy as, like, for what they were trying to do, they were very good. Yeah. Music is one of those things where not everything has to be the most intelligent, brilliant thing. Sometimes you just want something that you want to dance to, or you want something fun, or you want something silly. Music has very different targets, and I think those girls at the time nailed their stuff. And so that kind of really, that era, the Max Martin era, where he was just smashing out hit after hit after hit, is really a lot of my influence in that scene. But I was mentored for just under 2 years by a lady called Susan Koch. And she's like a publisher in LA and a mentor. And she's like the meanest, harshest person you'll ever meet. She's very, very, like, if you don't like getting offended and you don't like getting criticized, she's not the right person for you. But if you're happy to have your soul exposed and then cut up into a million pieces to make you a better writer, she's fantastic.
Yeah, that's
She
it.
just brutalized me for 2 years and really made me dig really, really deep and work really, really hard. But a lot of the skills that she gave me and a lot of the writing techniques and exercises I've used a lot of that stuff in my writing, and I've gone back and revisited a lot of it, and I use the techniques still to this day, even though I'm not trying to necessarily always for pop. But she's quite has a lot of success. I know she's like gotten a Pink cut before, she's gotten a Christina Aguilera cut before with her mentees and stuff. So her mentees tend to go and do really, really, really well. She's just a very, very blunt person.
Yeah, well,
I
that's
thought
it.
I was needed. It was needed.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's always really interesting whenever you hear stories like that about a teacher or professor, and or in this case, producer, who's just really super intense, but obviously they know what they're doing and they get it done. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it definitely was needed, and it's hard. I think that hearing really harsh criticism is difficult, but the reality is, and I've been working in the industry for long enough to realize that a lot of the times it's right. Not all the time, but a lot of the time, especially when you're starting out, you don't have the ears yet to be able to actually distinguish when a production is good and when a production is not at the same, like when a production is professional level, like radio ready, broadcast ready, professional level, and when a production is starting out. You can't hear it. It takes years and years to develop and train your ears to be able to hear the subtle differences that make something a massive, amazing like song with an amazing breadth of and depth of production versus a mediocre song. And I've written so many mediocre songs, and you know, it's just something you acknowledge. It doesn't mean that they're terrible and bad. It's just that they're not at a level that enough people would recept with. So it's hard. It takes a lot of time to build your ears up so that you have that skill. But I've done that over the last 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, that's really interesting too, because like I'm an artist myself, and so I definitely know what you mean, where you have to really develop an eye for it, so to make you realize, oh, like this is just a sketch, maybe I'll just share it on Instagram or something, as opposed to like actually fully publishing it and putting it out in the world. So it's definitely a good skill to have, like, you know, to know what's good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at the Midnight, for example, I think one of the things, there's two kind of key things that really kind of separate them, and that is that you could put them alongside some of the big pop artists, and you could put their productions side by side, and you would not be able to hear a distinguishable level of difference in professionalism, because their productions are so rich in depth of sound, like their EQs of their basses, the high ends, all of the production elements of building that and having bass that pumps through and drums that viscerally hit rather than everything being very flat. And so when you hear it, and La Avenue is the same, I think the reason that he's cutting through is because when you listen to his productions, everything's super crisp, super clean, lots of depth of sound. And the other thing with the Midnight is that the vocals are outstanding. So his vocal performance is just extremely well produced. And there's not an off note. There's not a single bit in that you would listen to one of their songs and go, oh, they probably should have taken that sentence again. It wasn't 100%. It's always at absolute tip top. And I think that's why they really rise up and stand up, because unfortunately, the reality is a lot of people don't have the ears yet. And when they come in new, they want to just put it out, but they haven't developed their ears, so they can't actually hear the difference. And so that's why there's like such a difference.
Yeah, for sure. That's the thing with synthwave, is that there's tons and tons of artists out there, but that's what really differentiate these top tier people like the Midnight from somebody who just kind of like throws some stuff together on a basic synthesizer in their bedroom studio. You know, like there are folks who will break out and do something really special, but yeah, like having that really crisp, clean production, you can really tell.
Genre for bad production. It's called bedroom. There is a whole genre where people like production that sounds completely unpolished. It does really, really well. So, but it's a very, very specific genre of music, and it lives in a very, very specific place on the internet. So it just depends on what genre I think that you're in, because that you can get away with it if that is your niche, if it's stylized and done that way. There are a lot of really good bedroom producers that write this kind of indie bedroom pop, and that's what that audience likes. But I think like with synthwave, a lot of the audience is starting to really gravitate towards more polished stuff.
And yeah, definitely, that's true too. Like when it comes down to it, I mean, there is an audience for everything. I do see what you mean. Like, so like, for example, I'm personally into a lot of different styles of metal, and I personally like the stuff that's like really polished and clean. But I've talked to people before who just really like the really raw, like unpolished sound. And, you know, it takes all kinds. Like you like what you like, but it is interesting to see who stands out. Like, especially with synthwave, it seems to be the more polished production.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you mentioned marketing. So one of the things I've noticed about you since you've broken out here in the last few months is your social media engagement is really good. Like on Instagram, you'll do your Thrift Shop Thursdays, you do your Miss SYNTHWAVE Slaps Spotify playlist. Do you have a background in social media or marketing, or like how have you gone about doing that?
I've basically kind of learnt from working with other artists in my songwriting stuff what not to do, and we've experimented with stuff. So I had like my own songwriting kind of page, and I did a bunch of experimentation on that, and I did a bunch of things wrong, and a lot of it. So first of all, I used automation services. This is years and years and years ago. I tested automation services, and automation services are really great to get your following up, but you won't have any engagement at all. It just won't engage because you haven't built that connection. So I was like, no automation services. And then I've also tried just putting hashtags, putting out posts, trying to be engaging and waiting for people to come to me. And in an era where social media is so oversaturated, that also didn't work. We've tried various different bits and pieces, and depending on what genre of music you're in, certain social media channels seem to do better than others. And so for me, it was taking all of the lessons I'd learnt and then putting it all into one thing with me from the get-go. And the biggest thing I think is that people need to realize that we are in this capitalist society, yeah? And music is a capitalist product. It's got so much more than that, but that is an element to it. And in an absolute era of complete competition where everyone is doing music, it's really, really hard for people to just find you. So you have to treat yourself like an advertiser, and you need to go to them. So I do a lot of what I call treasure hunting, and I've not talked about this with anyone before because this is like my secret sauce, but I'm like, you know what, it'll benefit everyone. Basically, you have to know who you are. You have to know who you are like. So I know that there's a lot of crossover audience with certain other synthwave girls in the scene for me. We have similar audiences, we have kind of similar sounds, and so you've got to actually find these people, and you can find them in a myriad of ways. You can find them through hashtags. You can find them engaging on other people's posts. That's what's worked for me the best, is I basically look at who's super engaged with people in the scene. And then I build relationships with them, and I go and I check out their profile and I follow them and I have a look and see the things that we have in common. And then I highlight the things that we have in common and then build that. And every week I go through and I look at who are the people that I'm following that I haven't engaged with for a while, and I reconnect and I re-engage with them. So it's all a lot of manual stuff, but I really do find that it works because I know when I've done it right. When I get someone and they comment, so I'll like follow and comment on someone's post. Usually it's of like a cat or of, a record or something to do with synthwave. And then they'll like my comment, they'll come into my profile, follow me, and then like 50 of my posts. And then comment on 7 of them. And then I know I've hit jackpot, I've hit gold. Because I know, okay, I've got the product that this person wanted. So this is going to be someone that I want to engage with. And I also love the community, and I really feel like when you're in something that's not the hardcore Billboard pop, community is just everything. You won't get anywhere without having any level of community. So it's not just me looking at people as numbers and being like, oh, I just want all these followers. Like I go through my Instagram and my Twitter, and I will, on Twitter, for example, if someone's got a release that I like, I'll, promote that release for them. I'll highlight a girl that I really like on my Miss SYNTHWAVE Slaps. I have my playlist. Like, it's all about just building the whole community so that I can exist in that community and just finding people who like what I have to offer and building relationships. I think community and relationships are everything, and I think that's why it's worked for me so fast.
Yeah, that's
we've done basically no advertising on our stuff, and we have nearly 3,000 plays in 3 weeks. So the community stuff's kind of got to work.
Yeah, that's really cool, because that's definitely one of the great things about the synthwave scene. It is that it is very community oriented. I mean, as I'm sure you've seen on Twitter and Instagram, people are very engaging. So it really feels like a community, like a scene. And I think that's something that makes it really special.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most important thing out of all of that crap I just said to remember is that just posting on Instagram and putting hashtags is passively using it. You have to actively use it. The days where I don't do any of this work because I've, got other crap going on, or I'm stuck in lockdown and I'm depressed or whatever, they are not the days that I grow my account. You have to, and that's the way that all this social media is designed, is you have to be an active user. You have to be going out and actively engaging with people in order to grow. Because if you're just putting out your posts, it doesn't matter how amazing, you could literally have an identical Instagram to me and be posting all the same content and you'll get 10% of the following because you're not actively going out and finding the people, because the people they're out there. There are always going to be people that love what you do. You just have to find them and put yourself in front of them so that it's right place, right time. The amount of times I get messages from people saying, oh my God, I don't know how we connected, but I'm so glad we did. We're on such a same wavelength. And I'm just like, wow.
That's cool. No, that's it.
I have so many friends now. It's great. It's great. I talk to people through my DMs all the time. Like, yeah, that's the thing. It's ongoing. It's an ongoing relationship and building of community.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I could probably take some lessons for you on that as far as promoting my own stuff. So yeah, that's really interesting and good to know. I mean, that's the thing with social media, is that it can be such a crapshoot if you're not focused or don't know what you're doing. So that's a really smart way to go about it. Just, be really active on it and just actively engaging with people. So it's like a reciprocal sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It has to be that way because, as I said, it's so oversaturated. Why are they going to pick you?
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned in lockdowns being sad. So what do you do when you're not making music?
Well, in lockdown, I don't do a whole bunch. When I'm not in lockdown, I am a gymnast. So Ooh. I do adult gymnastics. I'm not very good, but I'm developing all of my skills back because I used to be a child gymnast and I quit. And I left it for, 16, 17 years. And so I'm redeveloping all my skills, but I've got my back flips and my front flips and my salts and stuff all on tramp. So I'm in the process of moving it all over to the floor, which is quite daunting. So I do that. That's a really important part of my life, usually 3 to 4 times a week. I have a vegetable garden and a produce garden at the back. So I grow my own produce. I have potatoes, passion fruits, strawberries, tomatoes. Some years I do the whole spread and I have everything under the sun, and then other years I just basically do tomatoes, potatoes and passion fruits. But I really, really enjoy that. I love movies and TV shows and stuff. My husband's a massive nerd and a massive gamer, so he kind of does a lot of streaming and podcasting and stuff, so I help him out with that sometimes. And yeah, cooking. I love to cook. I'm not very good, but I do love to cook, and hanging out with my cats. That's my main things. And travel when I can, but obviously with coronavirus, travel has significantly changed. So when I get little pockets of windows of opportunity to travel places in Australia, I will, but I'd like to get back overseas again in the next 3 to 5 years.
Oh, cool. So where have you been?
So I was really well traveled when I was young. My parents took me to pretty much all of Asia. The only places in Asia that I haven't really been is the Philippines, Vietnam, and Japan. But everywhere else pretty much I've been. And I've done America a couple of times. So I did California and the Bahamas and Mexico when I was 7, and then when I was 9 I went and I did, actually no, the Bahamas was in Florida, I'm pretty sure. Mexico and California were one trip, and then Florida and the Bahamas was another. And then I went back to LA for a big music sync songwriting convention in 2019. So nice. I did have plans to be going to Europe in 2020. I was going to do a big songwriting 5-week thing. I had a whole bunch of songwriting camps and stuff lined up, but alas, it was not meant to be.
Yeah, 2020. I feel like when I talk about it with people, 2020 was sort of a lost year.
Look, in Australia, 2020 and 2021 are as bad as each other. We've had pockets. We've had a pocket of freedom from about the start of March, or maybe the start of March, which is when I went to Queensland with my hubby, until just after my birthday at the end of May. That's the only real kind of time. And there was like a period for maybe a month in January. They were the blissful times of 2021 for us Australians, particularly those who live in Melbourne and in Victoria. And then the rest is it's just been deja vu of 2020 for us. We've been in lockdown. We went in February, we went in May, and then we had like a week and a half off, and then we went back in, and then we had 6 days off, and then we went back in, and we've been there ever since. And it's not looking like we're going to get out until September, October, maybe even November at this point. So it's
God, that's awful.
They're both right off years.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because that's kind of how it was here. So my wife and I we're in upstate New York, so we're closer to Canada than the city, but yeah, I mean, that's basically how it's been, just staying home, staying inside, working from home for most of the year. Then, well, the vaccine rolls out and it's like, oh, cool, we can finally go out and see people and everything like that. And we did that for like a weekend or two, then, Delta variant.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I know it's rough. It's really rough. And I don't have any answers to anything. I'm just always frustrated at everything, but don't have any answers to anything. I feel like that's the consensus of everybody. You're frustrated and you wish it was different, but you don't actually have any tangible ways to make it any different.
Exactly. I totally know the feeling about that. So you're basically just sitting at home being sad and frustrated.
I'm amazed that I've not put all my weight back on, because I got really fat last year. And then when in the periods of when we had freedom here in Australia, I lost heaps of weight because I was doing like gymnastics and eating really well. And I just can't believe that I've managed to continue that journey all through these lockdowns. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with myself. I'm starting to get like I've got a 2-pack.
Nice.
Because you know how you have your 6-packs and you have your 2-pack at the top is the first one to kind of come in. I've got that. So I'm just doing everything I can. If I have to do like 100 V-sits and sit-ups and push-ups and handstands in my lounge room, I'm doing it. Because I just don't want to lose my 2-pack. You just get treasure the little things in life, but when you've worked really hard for something,
oh yeah, for sure.
Go, oh well, the world's terrible, the world sucks, I'm just going to give up again. Like, no thanks.
No, that's a great mindset to have, because that's definitely an accomplishment. I mean, I know I need to get back on the fitness train myself. I've been kind of good about it the last, off and on for the last year, and I fell off of it for a month or so, and I just feel just kind of bleh, just kind of gross. But now I'm getting back into it. It's just like, oh yeah, like, it feels good to do this.
Yeah, I think it's kind of ironic that my vanity is what is keeping me like sane at the moment. Like, it's because I'm vain. It's because I like how I look now. And I don't want to go back to how I was. So that level of vanity is making me actually keep routines and not just fall into an absolute mental heap. So I'm kind of like pretty grateful for it, to be honest, because I know vanity is not always the best thing to have. But in this particular circumstance, it is working in my favor.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, like it feels good to, it feels good when you feel good about yourself and you like how you look and how you feel. Like it's absolutely something to work for and maintain. Yeah.
And I just don't want to lose all my muscles. I have actual, when I flex, I have actual muscles in my biceps now because of all the gymnastics. So I don't want to lose it. And I want to be able to go back to gymnastics when this is all over and not have to restart the whole process of getting myself fit enough to be able to do the movement that I want to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as with anything, consistency is absolutely the key.
I know. But I mean, I don't blame people for falling apart. It's everyone's dealing with it in their own unique way, and we just have to be very, I think, empathetic that everyone's feeling so much right now, and it's impacting everybody's lives. So no matter how they are coping with it, you just have to be a little bit empathetic and be like, do it the way you need to do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the entire population has just been super stressed for the last year plus. So everyone's been dealing with it in their own way. And, like you said, just a little empathy goes a long way.
Absolutely.
So Mother Mania just came out pretty recently, and that's doing well. So what do you have next?
I will be on the cusp of my second single. And this time it's because everything I'm going to be doing is collaborative. Yeah. So this time it is with Sandor Gavin.
Cool.
And I am doing a song called Feels Like Magic. It is very different to Mother Mania. Very different. I am not allowing myself to be just put in one box of how I'm supposed to sound. I'm exploring all of the many jungles of synthwave and retrowave, and this song is a very summery, tropical, fun, uplifting vibe. It's awesome, and we're getting a remix released at exactly the same time by, I think he's called Horizons 1982. Does that name ring a bell?
Oh, I don't know if I'm familiar with him. I'll have to look him up.
It's all through Red Matter Records. But yeah, so it's going to have 2 different versions of the song released on the same day.
Nice.
And I think that's coming out on it's either going to be, it's on a Wednesday. I like releasing things on Wednesdays. So it'll either be out on the 23rd, 22nd of September or the 29th, I think. We're just finalizing the artwork, but I'll have the artwork and everything by then. So that's like my second single, and I'm so excited for people to hear it and to go from being real angry and angsty from Mother Mania to being really like happy and lovey-dovey. It's gonna be great. So that's my next single. Then I have another one out in November with another artist that I'm not disclosing yet. And then Nilio and I are cooking up more things for next year. So if you love the sound and the aesthetic of Mother Mania, don't stress. You are going to get a lot more of it.
Very cool.
It's just going to come out a little bit later because it's going to take a bit of time because what we're cooking up is quite a substantial project.
Excellent. Well, that sounds really exciting. I mean, like you said, synthwave is such a broad genre. You've got so many styles and subgenres within the genre itself. So yeah, that's really cool that you're pushing yourself and being like as flexible as possible in terms of trying out different styles and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that now.
Yeah, I really like to support the producers that I'm working with, and I want it to be very much in their aesthetic and their sound, and I don't want to limit myself to only work with a certain style or type of producer. This way, I can and that's why I'm not on any labels as such at the moment, is because I would like to be able to work with a huge range of different producers across labels and not be restricted in any way, shape or form by being signed anywhere. So I could bounce around and I can work with, Red Manor, I could work with New Retro Records, I could work with any of the synthwave records with their producers, and then I'll just, move my publishing over to them or whatever. And yeah, so it's kind of really exciting, and I want the main thing that's going to be similar amongst all of them is that my vocals are going to be banging and that my writing style is going to be very hooky. So it doesn't matter what genre per se within that I'm working with, it should get stuck in your head. That's my goal, to set myself in my own lane aside and apart from everybody else, is to just have really, really top-notch, visceral, relatable songwriting about a wide range of topics.
Yeah, very cool. That's really interesting. It sounds like you're doing just a variety of different genres, but you still have a distinct Elyxir sound.
Yeah, absolutely. So some people will like some songs more than they like others. Some might like all of it. I really don't know. I'm going to kind of ride the wave, and I'm going to go see how certain things kind of go. But I think that my sound and the energy that I am going to be able to give off in the songwriting and the creation of these is very much still going to be, even though it's, got a very different sonic palette, it's still very much going to be an Elyxir song.
Excellent. Well, that sounds really cool. I'm very much looking forward to what you have in store. Like I said, just pushing boundaries and trying different genres. So the last thing I have here, so we got one of them earlier. So you said you have a couple of cats?
Mm-hmm. I do. That one is Triss, and she's cracked it now. She's gone to go and have a sleep upstairs because I wasn't giving her attention. I can't do a conversation like this without her just being all over me. It's I don't know, she's jealous, she's needy. And then my other cat is called Siri. And they're both named, Triss and Siri are both characters from the Witcher series.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Cirilla.
Siri, yeah.
Cirilla, but we call her Siri. So we always joke that if we're getting a third one, that we have to call it Yennefer. So it'll always be, whenever we have cats, they'll probably be names from the Witcher series. My husband's obsessed with it.
That's cool.
I didn't really get too much of a say in it, but I didn't mind because I really like the Witcher series as well. I was like, yeah, okay. So when we first got Triss, I was a dog person. I really wanted dogs. My husband hates dogs with a fiery passion. Dogs always try to get his love because he won't give any love. So they work super hard to get it, and then he just ignores them, and then they get really sad. It's quite funny. But so he loves cats. And I hated cats because every experience I'd have with a cat was terrible. I'd never owned a cat, but every cat that I've dealt with on the street or at a friend's house just was terrible. So I didn't want the cat. And then they said, oh, we're going to get this cat, because we were living with someone else at the time. And I was like, I guess I'll get the cat, but it's going to hate me. Cats absolutely hate me. And the very first day we got her, she hated me. And I was like, see, I told you, like, cats suck. But then she just fell in love with me and then was all over me within like 3 days. And then cats weren't crap anymore. And I fell in love, and now I'm the biggest cat person ever. So
that's sweet.
She was all over me and giving me kisses. And yeah, our cats are extremely affectionate. I have heard that cats tend to mirror personality elements out of the family that they're in. Mm-hmm. And because like hubby and I are a pretty solid unit. We have our ups and our downs, but we're not really ones to yell and scream at each other or fight, and there's not a lot of negative energy in our house, and we're all very affectionate and cuddly and stuff. So I think the cats have picked up on our affection, and so they give it back to us.
Aww, that's so sweet.
Both cats have similar personalities, even though they have very, very different backgrounds, and one of them is extremely shy, and no one outside of us will ever see her. But on her terms, when she comes up for affection, oh, smoochy as.
Yeah, that's great. That's kind of how our cat is. So my wife and I, like, we have a dog and a cat, and the cat is just as sweet as can be, but it has to be on her terms. So if she's laying down and she's not really in the mood for it, she'll claw at you and stuff. But if you give her little chin scritchies, she's just a little stick of butter, as we say. She's just the sweetest little thing.
Yeah, and our cats, the bums and the tails, like you pat him and then there's up the tails go. And the shy one has the most expressive tail I've ever seen. She'll walk into the room, see us, and whoop, straight up goes the tail in its question mark, and she'll proddle around. It just cracks me up. The tails crack me up. They get big and fluffy when they're scared, and it'll flick around if she's like trying to hunt something. It's just her tail's hysterical.
That's adorable. Well, cool. Well, that's all I've got for today, but thank you very much for taking the time and joining me for this inaugural episode of SYNTHWAVE Ultra. So yeah, like I said, super looking forward to what you have in store. Was there anything else you wanted to add before we go?
I think we've covered a lot of ground, honestly. We've bounced through a lot of topics, so I'm pretty good. I just would say that if you do want to come and say hi, like, please don't hesitate. I'm a really chill kind of person. You can come check me out on Elyxir Music AU on all of the platforms except Twitter is Elyxir Music A, because someone already had Elyxir Music AU. I don't know why. It's not an active profile, but whatever. So it's Elyxir Music A, but everywhere else is Elyxir Music AU, and Elyxir start with a Y.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much, and have a great day. It looks nice and warm down there.
Yeah, it's nice and sunny today, so I am allowed out for an hour of exercise in my lockdown, so I'll go for a bit of a wander and probably go do some groceries and then come back home and do stuff around my house and write some more music, so it should be a good day.
Yeah, nice. Well, have a great day, and we'll see you soon.
All right, thanks so much for having me, Patrick.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to follow Elyxir on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check her out on Bandcamp, Spotify, and other streaming services. Make sure to like this video and leave a comment below, and subscribe to this channel for more great SYNTHWAVE conversations. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @PatrickKingArt and check out the Synthwave Ultra playlist on Spotify for tons more Synthwave of every sort. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Synthwave Ultra.